One Piece has been running for over 25 years, and in that time, Oda has created a world so massive and so absolutely unhinged. Today we're going through the craziest records in One Piece history, and I promise you, some of these will genuinely make you stop and say, "Wait, what?" Let's get into it, and start with the literal definition of a marathon beatdown. The longest on-screen fight, Luffy versus Katakuri. When we talk about greatest fights, everyone jumps to Marineford for the stakes, or Wano for the high-budget animation. But if we're talking about pure, raw, how are you still alive? Endurance. The record for the longest one-on-one on-screen battle belongs to Luffy and Katakuri in the Miro world. This fight lasted over 10 hours. Do you know how long 10 hours is? That's an entire international flight. That's a whole shift at work plus overtime. And for every single second of that time, Luffy was getting his absolute teeth kicked in. Katakuri was the ultimate opponent for Luffy initially. He had the better fruit, the better haki, and he could literally see the future. But Luffy, this man is built different. He used Katakuri as a personal trainer while being beaten half to death. What makes this record-breaking isn't just the timer, it's the mutual respect. By the end, Katakuri wasn't even mad he lost. He fell on his back on purpose, basically saying, "Yeah, this kid is him." Luffy covering Katakuri's mouth. That's the most recognized real moment in the entire series. It's the record for the longest on-screen fight, but also for the biggest W in terms of character growth. Is Katakuri the greatest villain the Straw Hats have ever faced? Drop your ranking in the comments, I want to see the debates. Straw Hat with the most wins without a devil fruit, Roronoa Zoro. Next up, we gotta talk about the man who refuses to eat a magic fruit because he'd rather just lift weights and get lost. The Straw Hat that holds the record for the most dominant combat record with 0 devil fruit assistance belongs to the minority hunter himself, Roronoa Zoro. Look at the victim list. It is actually staggering. Mr. 1, sliced. Kaku, folded. Ryuma, put back in the grave. King, absolutely cooked. Zoro is out here dismantling elite top-tier opponents using nothing but 3 pieces of steel and pure, unadulterated Black Air Force energy. The only thing in One Piece that has ever successfully stopped Zoro is a staircase with more than 2 turns. Most tragic backstory, Nico Robin. Every Straw Hat has a backstory that makes you want to call a therapist. It's basically a requirement to join the crew. But the record for the most consistently, repeatedly, and historically brutal past belongs to Nico Robin. And it's not even a debate. If you think Law or Brook had it worse, you're coping. Robin was 8. 8! At an age when most kids are worried about Roblox, she was watching her entire island get erased from the map by a buster call. She saw her mom for 5 minutes before her mom died. She saw the only man who ever cared about her, Saul, get frozen solid. She escaped into the ocean alone while the government put a 79 million berry bounty on a child's head. Then she spent 20 years, 2 whole decades, running. Every organization she joined tried to sell her out. By the time she met Luffy, her soul was basically a burnt-out candle. When she finally screamed, "I want to live" at Enies lobby, that wasn't just a line. That was 20 years of trauma finally breaking. It's the greatest character arc in manga history. Period. Most one-shot victories, Kaido. If you want the record for the most characters put to sleep with a single move, there is only one GOAT, and his name is Kaido. The man doesn't do back-and-forth fights. He does "you're in my way" fights. Let's just run the list quickly. Luffy, 1 shot, gear 4th and all. Luffy again, 1 shot, 2nd attempt. Luffy a 3rd time, 1 shot. Eustace Kid, 1 shot. Roronoa Zoro, 1 shot after the single greatest slash Zoro had thrown up to that point in the series. Even X-Drake, a fellow Ancient Zoan user, got dropped in an embarrassing amount of time. Kaido one-shotted the worst generation collectively. Multiple future Yonko-level fighters showed up to Onigashima with their best and got dismissed like opening acts before the headliner arrives. The terrifying part isn't the power, it's the casualness. Kaido doesn't wind up dramatically or prepare himself. He just looks at you, moves, and the fight is over. The record for most one-shot victories belongs to a man who made beating the main character feel like a warm-up exercise. Biggest ego, Enel One Piece has plenty of arrogant villains, but Enel is on a whole different level of delusional. The record for the most unhinged self-image belongs to the man who actually thought he was God. Enel woke up every day and chose violence. If someone in Sky Pia breathed too loud, he'd drop a lightning bolt on them from miles away. He built a giant gold ship just so he could fly to the moon because the Earth wasn't holy enough for him. That is top-tier glazing yourself. The funny part is that he actually had the stats. He had observation hockey that let him hear the entire island. He had a Logia fruit that made him untouchable. He was a beast. And then he met Luffy. The face Enel made when he realized Luffy was made of rubber is the single greatest L in the series. Most loyal character. The Akazaya 9. Loyalty is the theme of One Piece, but the Akazaya 9 take the record for the most extreme, ride or die loyalty ever recorded. These guys waited 20 years. They didn't just wait, they suffered. Some were sent forward in time, some stayed behind and lived as outcasts, and some, like Denjiro, literally changed their physical appearance because of how much rage and grief they were holding in. They watched their country turn into a factory-filled wasteland while holding on to a dead man's dream. When they finally got to Onigashima and stabbed Kaido together, that wasn't just a move. That was 20 years of pent-up smoke. They knew they couldn't win, but they did it for Odin anyway. That's a level of devotion that makes everyone else look like they're just clout chasing. Most broken ability. The Ope Ope no Mi. Every fruit debate ends here. The Ope Ope no Mi is the record holder for the most broken ability because it's basically an admin tool for reality. In Law's room, he is literally the doctor, the judge, and the executioner. He can swap your heart with a pebble. He can swap your soul with a dog. He can cut you into pieces and you won't even die. You'll just be a talking head in a box. It's called the ultimate devil fruit in the actual lore. But the real reason it's broken is because of the perennial youth operation. The fact that this fruit can grant immortality at the cost of the user's life is insane. The world government valued it so highly, they were willing to pay an insane price for it. When the people in charge of the world are sweating over a fruit, you know it's the record breaker. If you had the Ope Ope no Mi, what's the first thing you're doing with it? Drop it in the comments. The most creative answer gets pinned. Biggest betrayal. Kurozumi Kanjuro. We've seen some betrayals, but Kanjuro holds the record for the most diabolical snake move in anime history. Why? Because of the length of the lie. Most traders switch sides after a week. Kanjuro played the role of a loyal friend for decades. He bled with the Akazaya. He cried with them. He went through the time travel jump with them. He was one of the brothers. And the whole time, he was sending intel to Orochi. The reveal on the boat in the rain was pure chills. He didn't even have a reason other than being a hollow actor who wanted a grand stage to die on. He made the Akazaya doubt every single memory they had for 20 years. That's not just a betrayal. That's psychological warfare. Most plot armor. Pell. We have to talk about Pell, the guardian spirit of Alabasta, who survived a literal nuclear-level explosion to the face. In the Alabasta arc, there's a massive bomb. Pell takes it, flies into the stratosphere, it goes off in a mushroom cloud, and everyone cries. It was a perfect sacrifice. And then, he just shows up at the end with some bandages. No explanation. No, he's a zone, so he's tough. He just lived. It's the record for the most unearned survival in the series. Luffy is the protagonist, so we expect it. But Pell? Pell is the record holder for making us all realize that in One Piece, unless we see a tombstone and a ghost, that character is probably just chilling in a desert somewhere. Most wasted potential, Smoker. Finally, we have the record for the most fumbled character arc. Smoker was introduced in Logtown as the marine version of Luffy. He was the Garp to Luffy's Roger. He had the cool bike, the cigars, the don't care about the rules attitude. He was him. Then the time skip happened. Smoker went to Punk Hazard and proceeded to take an L from Law, an L from Virgo, and an L from Doflamingo. He became the Worf of the series, the guy you beat up just to show how strong the new villain is. It's honestly sad. He had so much potential to be a top-tier marine threat, but he got power crept so hard he's basically a background character now. He holds the record for the biggest drop-off in relevance. We're still hoping Oda gives him a massive W in the final saga. But right now, Smoker is the CEO of Wasted Potential. That's the official One Piece crazy record list for now. Which record from this list surprised you the most? And what records do you want to see next? Drop it in the comments. And if you got lost reading this video like Zoro gets lost on a straight road, that's on you. If you like this content, then drop a like and subscribe to be there when the next bounty drops.